Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Southwest Region Get EVAL Certified webinar, and in partnership with Fourth. Fourth is headquartered in Portland, Oregon, working to build lasting programs and policy models that significantly expand equitable access to electric transportation in the US and beyond. So today, this is the first in a series of 6 webinars, and they're planned to take place across the United States. This session is being recorded and will be available to you for playback. I'm Julie Bond with Best Workplaces for Commuters, and I'm located in Tampa, Florida. I'm going to serve as your moderator today. And also our eval speaker today is Brandon C.C. Smith, and you'll hear from him in a minute, and I'll provide an introduction for him also. Okay, I wanted to let you know about the EVAL regions. The United States includes 6 EVAL regions as shown on this map. The Southwest region includes Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, and Utah. If you happen to be from another one of these states outside of this region, that's okay. You're welcome to be here today and learn about the overall program. However, we do have upcoming webinars for each region where you can meet your contact person for EVAL. And for more information and to register for other webinars, please go to bestworkplaces.org. Okay, our goal is for our program today to be interactive. We're glad you're here with us today. We're going to address your questions. We're going to share information so you can feel confident in a path towards becoming EVAL certified. And in a moment, we'll jump in and explain EVAL. But first, here's our agenda. Our EVAL partner speaker today is Brandon Smith with EVAL Noir. We encourage you to please type your questions in the Q&A box at any point during the presentation. And we also have time at the end to provide answers, so please ask questions. And we are very glad that you're here with us today. A little bit about Best Workplaces for Commuters. The partnership between BWC, a national recognition program, and Fourth is synergistic. Supporting EV charging at workplaces does align well with our program's goal of expanding access to sustainable commuting choices. And on this slide is a breakdown of the types of members we support, including individual employers. We have universities and colleges, and also multi-employer sites. Best Workplaces is managed by the Center for Urban Transportation Research at the University of South Florida. And our BWC members receive recognition in the form of a national press release each January, plus other program benefits. And I'm happy to say that 2024 was a record-breaking year with over 700 members across the US and Canada. And now I'm excited to introduce Brandon C.C. Smith. So a little bit about him. Brandon's a dynamic leader, and he's very passionate about contemporary technology, electrification, and decarbonization. Brandon has worked with urban mobility, vehicle sharing, electric vehicle infrastructure, and autonomous vehicles for about 8 years. He's involved with large companies like General Motors and early stage startups. Brandon's an advocate for equitable EV adoption, and through his work in the electrification and decarbonization industry, he strives to create a future where all voices are heard so that all may benefit. And at this time, I would like to turn the time over to you, Brandon, for a very exciting presentation. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm excited to speak with you all. I'm here. My name is Brandon Smith. I'm technically the Electric Vehicle Program Support Implementation Specialist in the Western region at EVAL Noir. And I'm representing Fourth today. And today I'll be sharing a little bit more about the program called EVAL. And EVAL actually stands for the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Certification, or EVAL for short. So I'll talk a little bit about Fourth. Fourth is kind of the primary on this kind of effort here. We're a partner at EVAL Noir with Fourth. And Fourth is a nonprofit organization based in Portland, Oregon. Their mission is to electrify transportation by bringing people together to create solutions and reduce pollution and barriers to access. Next slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about the focus areas for Fourth. So Fourth has 5 key focus areas, including access to cars, access to charging, emerging modes such as electric school buses or farm equipment, policy and events and partnerships. And so I'll talk a little bit more about why we're focused on these particular areas. And that's because transportation is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions. It's also the only sector that has rising emissions, and that's not good. So greenhouse gas emissions from transportation account for about 29% of the total US emissions, making it the largest contributor of US greenhouse gas emissions. And between 1990 and 2021, greenhouse gas emissions in transportation sector increased more in absolute terms than any other sector. But why should we care, right? Well, as an employer, your commitment to sustainability is critical in employee retention. So we'll talk a little bit more about how this whole ecosystem relates to work. A survey of 20,000 people from Hewlett-Packard employees globally found that 61% of survey participants believe that they need sustainability, right? It's not just a need or a want, it's mandatory that they should have the sustainability. And 58% of these same employees said that environmentally conscious practices are key to engaging the future workforce. So when you're talking about millennials, I'm an older millennial, but millennials and Gen Z coming around, it's very important. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And as noted in the previous and earlier, we have 60% of millennials like myself say that they won't work for a company that doesn't have strong social or environmental commitments. And even more interesting is that 75% of these same millennial employees said that they would choose to work for a socially responsible company, even if the salary was a little bit lower. And I know that's a lot to get somebody to do that, but people are very conscious, especially the younger generations. So what can you as employers do to show corporate sustainability inspire employers? Very simply put, employers can become leaders in electric mobility through the deployment of workplace charging programs. There's a lot of other things that you can do in terms of electrifying your workplace, in terms of reducing your footprint. This particular program that we'll talk about today has to do with transportation and workplace charging. So why should employers today consider workplace charging program? In addition to the reasons that we already stated, electric mobility reduces emissions by 30 to 90%, depending on where you are and kind of what the transit patterns are in your area, but 30 to 90%, even at the bottom level of that, that's an amazing impact to have on a community. People who charge at work are 6 times more likely to buy an EV. So that, we obviously know about charging at home. We know about charging in the wild. We've all seen chargers somewhere, but charging at your workplace, studies have shown that it makes people 6 times more likely to buy an EV. More EVs on the road, less emissions. The ability for employees to charge at their workplace improves retention. It's also a reinforcing example that I want to note that Bank of America in a recent study reported seeing a 50% increase in EV commuters after they install chargers within just 1 year. So it's a really great return on your investment really quickly. Sustainability practices, right? We all have sustainability goals in our workplace, or they're starting to come about, especially for larger workplaces. Workplace charging actually help to improve hiring and can help to meet these sustainability goals. And providing workplace charging, employers provide necessary benefits for employees who do not have access to charging at home and who face range anxiety. So there's a lot that deals with this program, both with Fourth and the EVAL program, with the Charge at Work program that I'll speak about later, that has a lot to do with climate and electrification, justice and equity. So we all know that, generally communities that are underprivileged tend to get left out of contemporary technology advancements. So workplace charging helps to bridge that gap. So just another benefit there. Besides charging at home, charging at work is the preferred option. 20% of Americans, and even higher percentage of low and moderate income Americans, live in buildings that do not have access to off-street parking to charge at EV. So if you live in an apartment building, or you live, at a home that doesn't really have access to it, or you can't afford to install your own home charging, you may not live in a corridor that has a transit corridor that has a lot of EV charging. You may not live next to a Tesla super fast charger bay. So if you don't have access to these things, charging at your workplace could really bridge this gap in your ability to have an EV. And 74% of current EV owners express strong interest in workplace charging. I think if you do any kind of survey of most workplaces, people are not going to be opposed to this. I want to dive just a little bit deeper now. So employee benefits, this benefits not just the employer, but also benefits the employee. So range confidence. We've all heard about range anxiety, where people are scared that they're going to run out of charge. So range confidence for workers by installing charge at work can help to eliminate or at least alleviate some of this fear. Again, talking about justice and equality, fair and equal access to EV charging for workers is also helped by workplace charging, especially to those that don't have dedicated home chargers. And it's also in alignment with the company's values, right? I think a lot of us are starting to focus a lot more on sustainability. There's a lot more restrictions and regulations coming down from federal, state, and local municipalities to meet sustainability goals. So this will also help you to do that. It's just in general, we want to reduce these emissions in the world, not just America, not just your state, not just your city. So increased EV adoption, anything that we can do to really bring that about helps our grandchildren and their children after that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And obviously for the employer, improving employee retention and recruitment. You have alignment with enhanced sustainability goals and the opportunity to demonstrate, you have the opportunity to demonstrate sustainability leadership, right? So everybody's going to start adopting this at some point. It's kind of inevitable. So by jumping on now, you kind of get to show you're a leader in this field and you're an early adopter, which leads to further benefits later on. You can also increase property value, right? This is going to be something that's happening. Electrification and decarbonization is something that's happening. The sooner you can get in, the sooner you can take advantage of incentives, the sooner you can transition your workplace, the better it will be for you, just in a social impact and also financially. A recent study by Stanford researchers suggests that shifting current EV charging from charging at home during the night to charging at work could also reduce costs, improve grid efficiency, and enable and encourage wider build out of renewables. So electric vehicles will contribute to emissions reductions in the United States. We all know that, right? But charging may impact the grid. And I think we've all kind of heard about the different hesitations. Are we impacting the grid? What kind of fuel are we using to generate the electricity? Well, assuming a continued dominance of residential nighttime charging, rapid EV growth can increase peak electricity demand by up to 25% of the next decade. So while people are already at home charging or using, their fans and their video games and their TVs and everything else that we use in the evening, if we're all coming home and we've adopted EVs, that's going to take even more demand on the grid. So charging during the day at your workplace, if you work during the day, it's going to help to alleviate some of that extra strain that's coming on the grid. So to limit high cost of all this capacity for generating and storing electricity to meet peak residential demands, drivers should move to daytime charging at work public charging stations, which would also reduce greenhouse gas emissions overall. If you could please go to the next slide, please. I know we've been looking at this one for a while. So fourth solution to this is the EVAL program. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the EVAL program. So the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Platform is a certification program that provides technical assistance and recognition to organizations that support the adoption of clean transportation. Very simply put, it's a program to help you electrify and decarbonize your workplace. The EVAL certification indicates the availability of clean transportation options and opportunities for staff at a workplace. Next slide, please. We are funded by the Department of Energy, and fourth, in collaboration with our partners, you see Plug in America, Electrification Coalition, and of course, EV Noir, developed a nationwide platform that provides motivation, information, and support for businesses of all kinds. Next slide, please. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about our objectives with the entire program. So our goal is to execute a nationwide workplace charging program consisting of education, outreach, and technical assistance activities that enable a large-scale increase in workplace charging. Over the next year, our objective is to recognize and certify 5,000 work sites. Now that sounds like a daunting task, but if you think about all the workers and all the work sites in America, 5,000 is a number that we can and should get to. So our goal is to certify 5,000 work sites throughout the US with the goal of catalyzing 20,000 port installations at workplaces. So we want to see 20,000 chargers across America just from an effort of this program. EVAL is a national workplace charging certification program that provides recognition and technical assistance again. It distinguishes employers and workplaces leading the charge to address climate change and lower emissions. Next slide, please. So who can partake in this program? So employers from all industries and sizes, including state, local, and tribal government entities, community-based organizations, and nonprofits are eligible to apply. We're particularly interested in reaching employees in sustainability, HR, facilities management, people that can actually help to make these decisions for a workplace. Next slide. So the EVAL certification, pretty simple program in terms of how it works. You earn points and you're able to get 4 tiers of certification. bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, depending on the level of certification points a workplace achieves. And you gain these certification points by filling out a questionnaire on our website that assesses their efforts towards promoting clean transportation at their workplaces and supporting employees to travel sustainably. This can include availability of electric vehicle charging, options for carpooling, biking, and public transportation, as well as incentives for sustainable employee commuting. So the certification is made up of 5 sections, ranging from 5 to 10 questions each. Your first section focuses on employee engagement and understanding employee e-mobility needs. Your second section focuses on planning and evaluation. This third section focuses on e-mobility incentives, and this category allows employees who don't own their own parking facilities or to earn points and reach certification level as well. So section 4 is the largest section, and it focuses on EV chargers, which is kind of the bread and butter here. And we'll talk a little more about the specific chargers a little later. And final section is the one that allows employers to showcase their sustainability leadership. So this is about the decision makers. What are you doing to lead? You get to actually showcase what you're doing. You get to show off a little bit as a leader in this electrification space. And these are the different questions within the questionnaire that allow you to earn the points that can get you to bronze, silver, gold, or platinum level. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this next certification process on the next slide, please. So again, certification process, pretty straightforward. You'll create an account and register your organization by completing the key information. You'll apply for the EVAL certification by filling out the questionnaire that we just talked about. You'll have access to digital resources and templates to help you successfully create a workplace charging program and navigate the questionnaire. You have the option to connect with Forth for additional support. You'll submit your application, which will then be reviewed by the Forth staff. And finally, you'll receive your certification and get recognized. I'll talk a little bit more about the recognition in a bit, because I think it's kind of a big part of this program. Next slide, please. So the certification includes employee engagement. It includes 5 factors. Employee engagement is the first one. Understanding employee e-mobility needs, pretty straightforward. Do you have a grasp on what your employees need, and what are you doing about that? So it leads us into the planning and evaluation, initiating planning and evaluation for workplace charging programs. You have mobility incentives, incentivizing the adoption of e-mobility. This is something that not a lot of employers are doing yet, but it's something that I think will really be helpful, and we can talk more in depth about this. I won't waste all of your time on this, but I think private incentives are going to be a huge part into how employees are adopting vehicles later on. So EV charging, expanding the access to EV charging, again, the kind of the bread and butter of this program, and innovation. It might be some stuff that, you know, my years of experience and our partners' years of experience, we might not have thought of, or we might not have implemented yet. So what are you doing at your workplace to innovate? So showcasing sustainability leadership through innovation and regional programs. So Forth has developed a variety of resources to help employers get started on building their workplace. And we'll talk a little bit more about the specific tools that we have, because there's a great reservoir of all these resources and tools at your disposal. And Forth and our partners are also available to answer questions or help anybody through the application process. So you don't have to try to go through this all alone. So on our next slide, I actually want to talk a little bit more about something I think you as an employer are going to want to really understand: the recognition and the resources. So as an EVAL certified employer, you'll receive a variety of perks and recognition, including access to an exclusive roundtable work group, a spotlight on the EVAL website, multimedia promotions from Forth and our partners, and a written profile and case study for our platinum organizations, and a digital badge with a signed certificate. A presentation and verbal engagement within the roundtable work group is reserved for platinum certified organizations, though all other tiers will be able to attend, and recordings will be available for non-certified organizations. So some of the resources that are offered are webinars, template surveys and forms if you want to kind of take a temperature check of your employees, a directory of local providers and installers that really help you get involved. You know, even if you're looking for home repairs, it's like, hey, I got to get on Yelp or TaskRabbit. Where do I even start? So we kind of help you out with providing you some guidance into where to look for vendors and local installers, et cetera. Employee education resources we can help out with as well. A program implementation guide, and also best practices. Next slide, please. So here's the big question, right? You're an employer. How much does it cost? Well, right now, the EVAL certification is free. And I don't want you to think I'm a used car salesman. I'm not going to tack on some charges. later on or something like that. It's an absolutely free program right now, and the fee is waived until October of 2024. It's a one-time certification that does not require recertification at any time, unless an organization wishes to recertify a site if they received gold or below and they want to get a higher level after November of 2024. So let's say that you got your site certified in March, and then you're like, we want platinum, and then you recertify before November 2024, it's still free. After November 2024, the recertification fee will be implemented. Our goal in implementing a no-fee structure for the first year is to really kind of celebrate and eliminate barriers for early adopters. I'm all about early adopters. I'm a bleeding edge early adopter, and I feel like there should be more incentives to get people out there. So the fourth eval program really does that. And if it sounds too good to be true, I promise you, it actually is free. But yeah, if this is something that you're interested in, I'd love to talk to you guys some more about it. I will tell you a little bit more about the auditing process too on our next slide. So we do audit the applications. It's a systematic sampling. Every 100th application, the fourth staff might reach out to you requesting supporting documentation. And after your review, your certification will be confirmed or rescinded if insufficient documentation is provided. This is not a big scary disclaimer. This is just showing you that we are doing our due diligence to make sure that people aren't just kind of rubber stamping applications. We're making sure that these applications are legitimate because we want you to be recognized for the work that you're doing, and we don't want to devalue that from people that are actually doing the work. So one thing that I think is, besides how much does the eval program cost, a lot of people want to know, well, are there incentives in my state? How do I even get the money to get this started? So on our next slide, I want to talk to you a little bit about the state and local incentives. You can go one more slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about California. California obviously is kind of they're the bleeding edge early adopter. California is usually leading the charge in terms of incentives and rebates. So I'll talk a couple of rebates that they have here. So the California Energy Commission administers the Clean Transportation Program, and this is to provide financial incentives for businesses, vehicle and technology manufacturers, workforce training partners, fleet owners, consumers, and academic institutions with the goal of developing and deploying alternative and renewable fuels and advanced transportation technologies. There's also the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project, or Cal EVIP, which is funded by the California Energy Commission, which provides guidance and funding for property owners to develop and implement EV charging incentive programs that help meet regional needs for level 2 charging. And I'll talk a little bit more about specifically what level 2 means in a bit. If we can please go to the next slide. So we'll move over to Colorado, and Colorado has the electric vehicle charging station tax exemption. This is a little bit different than some of the rebates and incentives that we've seen. So EV charging station owners are exempt from paying property tax on the station until January 1st of 2030, which is a huge benefit, especially if you're in Colorado and trying to install quite a few stations. There also is the electric vehicle charging station installation loan from Holy Cross Energy, which is a specific company within Colorado. I found this one to be particularly interesting because it's a loan, right? You know, it's not necessarily free money. It's easier to be offered. It's something to really get a workplace started, and you get to pay this back in your electricity bill, which is a cool way to actually get this done, especially if you're, let's say, a mom and pop shop. Maybe you only have the ability to install 2 or 3 chargers, or even if you have the ability to install 100 chargers, this is something that can really benefit. We can please switch to the next slide. And so I'll move over to Arizona. I won't go over all of the details of this program, but the commercial electric vehicle charging station rebate from Tucson Electric Power, or TEP, offers rebates and technical support to businesses, multifamily dwellings, and nonprofit customers that purchase and install between 2 to 6 EV charging station ports. Now, there's a lot of other states and regions, so I won't bore you all to death with every incentive that we found on everyone, but I did want to leave you guys with a resource that will help you in whichever state that you're in, Hawaii, Alaska, you all too. You can please switch to the next slide. So this is the resource. It's very simple. The United States government is trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody. So this is the U.S. Department of Energy Alternative Fuels Data Center. You'll see the website right there at the bottom, the afdc.energy.gov. You can go on that website. You can select. There's also options for like hydrogen fuel and different things if you're interested in that as well. But there's an option to select electric vehicle charging. Then you can insert your state, and then you can see all the different incentives and benefits and learn more about the laws and regulations and the NEVI money planning that are going on in your particular state. So I did want to leave you all with that resource. And if you have questions about any of these resources, you can reach out to me or any of my compatriots here at 4th EV Noir Plug in America, and we can help you a little bit more with that. Again, that's the U.S. Department of Energy Alternative Fuels Data Center, and the resource will be available on this presentation after this presentation. So I'll talk about the Charge at Work program. So we talked a little bit about EVAL. So EVAL is a lot about recognition. It's a lot about providing resources to companies that are leaders in this field. A lot of people don't even know where to get started. How do I get resources? What can I do? So the Charge at Work program is a complementary program to the EVAL program. If you can please switch to the next slide. It's a US DOE funded national workplace charging acceleration program. And Charge at Work helps workplaces, workers, public officials, and community leaders plan and implement workplace electric vehicle charging programs. You can learn more about EV workplace charging by exploring our Charging Resource Center and our project builder that's at chargeatwork.org. So I'll talk a little bit about specifically how the Charge at Work program can help. So we can help in terms of education. We also offer free site assessments to get you started by knowing your specific workplace charging needs and challenges. So that's super helpful to get started. Let's say you have a workplace and you're the decision maker for your workplace. You have no idea where to get started. You can reach out to us. We can help you out with a free site assessment so you can understand what needs, what challenges that you will have, and kind of what this program will start. And then we can walk you through creating a workplace charging plan. We inform you about incentives for workplace EV charging, and we can help you figure out the number of chargers you need and so much more. There's also technical assistance. So I want to reiterate, this is a huge part of this program. Is the technical assistance part. So again, if you've gotten started, you're well on your way, you've talked to the installers, but you still need some help working through the project, you still need some help answering some questions, you still need some help finding out about incentives, the Charge at Work program is here for you. So we provide that kind of technical assistance, which I think is probably my favorite part of the program. So you're not lost. We really want people to get from start to finish in implementation on these programs. So we help with the technical assistance. We're also creating some online tools, which actually launched late last year. So there's a project builder right on the website. So the website, chargeatwork.org is there at the bottom of the page. You can go there, and in the top right-hand corner, it says like get started or build your project. You can actually start looking at this project, and I'll run through a little bit of what that looks like in just a second. So again, the Charge at Work program is focused on workplace charging solutions designed for use by workers, not necessarily fleet charging. So I'll explain the difference here. So, you work at building X and you drive there, you commute there every day. That's your worker that we're focused on, not necessarily the 100 FedEx vans at the FedEx depot, not necessarily the 100 Pizza Hut delivery trucks at the Pizza Hut warehouse, if Pizza Hut had warehouses. Not necessarily the fleet charging. We're focused on more for the workers. So the chargers in this program are going to be focused on level 2 chargers. So I'll give a brief overview of what that is. You have level 1 chargers, which is basically, let me take the charger that came in the back of my car when I purchased it and plug it into my house. If anybody's dealt with that, that takes a long time to get charging. So we're talking about the next level, which is level 2 chargers. And honestly, it's probably 80% of the chargers that you see out there in the wild, excluding like the Tesla fast chargers, they're going to be level 2 chargers. So this will get your car, depending on the type of EV and the time and a lot of other variables, you'll be able to charge a lot quicker than a level 1 charger. It's really great for workplace charging. This will have you charged up maybe in 4 hours, maybe in 8 hours, depending on some other conditions. But this is ultimate kind of ideal for workplace charging. So again, this program is focused on level 2 chargers, not necessarily DC fast chargers, which is the next level up, which is going to be the really rapid chargers that you see out in the wild that are really hard to get because all the Uber and Lyft drivers are at them. And also with the Tesla fast chargers, those are going to be the level 3 chargers there. But we're focused again on level 2 chargers, and some of those incentives and programs that we talked about earlier are focused as well on level 2 charging. I'll switch to the next slide, please. So this is the dashboard that you'll actually see on the Project Builder website for Charge at Work. So you'll see you can kind of work through a bunch of different variables on the Project Builder. You can kind of see the different costs of the chargers. You can ask questions about what the chargers are, and you can actually really start planning out your project. If you can switch to the next slide, I just want to show some more descriptions of what this looks like. There's graphs, charts. If you are the decision maker, or if you're not the decision maker and you need to wrap this presentation up and bring it to somebody else, the graphs, the charts, the data that's in the Project Builder can help you do that very easily. Please to the next slide. So again, you can see plan out your timelines down to the day, down to the week. You can manage this process like almost like a customer relationship management project. So it's a very rich and robust program. to help you build out your project. And one more slide, please. Bam. So, yep, that's chargeatwork.org. It is a complementary program to the EVAL program. And again, our ultimate goals are to spur greater EV adoption by enhancing driver confidence and charger availability, expanding access to electric mobility in disadvantaged communities. Again, we talked about our equity and justice push here, and create a self-sustaining market for workplace charging. So again, Charge at Work program, complementary to EVAL program. You can find more at chargeatwork.org. If you can please switch to the next slide. So I know you guys are probably tired of hearing my voice. So I want to get you to the call to action. What's next? So we're looking for partners to use, customize, and promote the platform. We're also looking for employers to reach out and get certified, right? That's the ultimate goal of this program. It's free. Come talk to us about it. We can tell you more about it and how you can actually get certified. And as we start these recognition processes, they're only going to grow and be great marketing and promotion for your business. So if you're interested in certifying, please let me know. Our team is here, and we'd love to connect with you after this presentation. You can also connect with Forth on their social media channels as well as their website to stay up to date on launch events and the latest updates with the EVAL program. You can look in your chat. They're going to, our partners here are going to provide that in the chat for our information. You'll also have some of my information if you need to reach out to me directly. I believe many of you have reached out through email, so I look forward to connecting with you further. So now it's time to go to work. I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this EVAL and Charge at Work presentations. I'm excited to connect with you all further, and thank you very much for having me today.
Thanks, Brandon. That was really an excellent presentation and so much to learn. You can see here on your next slide, this is showing some of the sustainability leaders across the United States. So you can see their logos, and they are some of the proud first EVAL certified locations. So that's great. And so we have a couple questions for you. And also I want to mention that if you look in the chat, there are many links that have been provided. And so if you have questions about the certification and what to do next, there are links in the chat that are going to be very helpful for you. And please submit any questions you have in the Q&A box, and we're going to move into the Q&A session right now. So Brandon, one of the first questions I have from you is, do you have any advice for a small company that is located in a larger complex, such as a tenant renting a suite in a shared building? And they are saying they want to pursue EV installation at their locations. So do you have any suggestions or tools to engage their building owner or other tenants?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And, just in our discussions about this program internally with Forth, we've actually presented that question to us. It's been presented to us. So I would say, first, whoever asked that question, thank you for asking that. I would love to connect with you a little bit further so we don't waste everybody's time on kind of some of the finer details of it. But my advice to you is that I would, one, connect with the building owner and help us to connect with that building owner so that we can kind of advocate on your behalf. I would say if you have other tenants that are in that building too, kind of getting a collaboration from them, like signing a petition and saying, hey, we want this in our building. And then we can help you to communicate the benefits of that to the building owner or whoever you're renting that space from. It's a program specifically for you all too. There's an aspect of the program that if you don't have all of the necessary aspects to be able to certify for the program, we do want to still help you out to at least get some kind of certification through the questionnaire. So great question. If anybody else is faced with this situation, please reach out to us and we can kind of look at your specific situation and help to advocate on your behalf.
Great. And it looks like Christine just put your contact information in the chat also, so you can find that there.
Yes.
And Alexandra put in also a link to the toolkit to secure buy-in for charging. So some very helpful information for that person who had that question. Thank you very much. Next, so we did talk about the regions and we showed the region map, and there are 6 regions. What if my company is based in the Southwest region but has offices in another region? How would we handle that type of certification?
Bring them all in. Just bring them all to us. Whoever's your point of contact, you can connect with any of us regardless of the region that we're in, and we'll make sure that we connect you with the right person that has a little more information about your region. But you're not necessarily in a completely unique situation. A lot of the companies that we've been working with do have offices in multiple locations, or maybe have 100 offices all in California, whatever the situation is. You can certify individual sites. So we've discussed kind of what that means. So like let's use McDonald's for example. Like we would love to get McDonald's certified, right? But they have locations all over the place. They can certify each individual one of those sites. So you can certify your site in the Southwest and also certify all the other sites. And if you're doing it now, it's all free. So I'd advise, especially with multi-site businesses, that you go on as soon as possible. We can help you out with any resources in whatever region. Reach out to me or any of our partners here.
Okay, Brandon, you showed the slide that you do have several companies who are already certified. What is your advice to someone who's wanting to know how do they convince their management to become interested in this certification? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, no, same thing. So I know Alexandra's probably gonna like put an exclamation point by the resource you shared earlier. So that toolkit resource, that it can help you with that. Obviously, reach out to us. I like to talk too much. I can help you out with some of the finer points there. And then also this toolkit resource can help you with just how do you bring that up? What kind of tools and resources? What's the best communication tactics to bring this up to your manager? But again, bring us in, loop us in. We'd love to connect with your manager and kind of advocate on your behalf. And I also say, if you can get buy-in from other employers or other groups within your organization to kind of make this argument stronger and have more people behind it, that's always very helpful.
Great. Okay, let's see. Another question that just came in the Q&A. Any suggestions for launching a program internally with staff? You mentioned surveys, any on-site programming, or other ways to get employees on board using EV.
Oh, absolutely. See, this is the fun part of a lot of this advocacy work, is getting the consumer involved, right? Because these are the people that are actually going to benefit from this service. These are the people that actually need the most help. So obviously we have the surveys and things you can do like that. I think that's always great to kind of get people engaged, see who's the most engaged. One thing I like is once you really start to get involved with this program is designating maybe an EV captain or an electric workplace charging captain. This can be, somebody that works in the maintenance department. This can be somebody that works in accounting. Whoever is enthusiastic about it can actually help to spearhead that and have some kind of peer communication there with the rest of the employees. There's also things that you can do like ride and drive events. Like we go all over the place. I love when we do them in the South because we get the most pushback there, but we get also some of the most rewarding conversations. You can do EV ride and drives where you can bring different electric vehicles, show people, have a whole day where you explain what electric vehicles are, what's the benefit of this, what is charging, this is why we want charging, these are the benefits of this. This really gets employees engaged. You throw a little music, you throw a little food in there too. People aren't going to be mad at all, especially on their lunch break. So there's a lot of great tools for that. One on the website, and also reach out to us too. We can show you some of the different things that we've done, and even help you kind of get some of that stuff started. So yeah, great question.
Great. And it looks like you were right. Alexandra is putting some very helpful links again into the chat for all of you. So those are there also to help you with your program. Also a question. So you did mention that there is no fee until November of 2024 this year. So is this a limited time program or is it going to be around long term?
So the program is going to be around long term. So I'll clarify this. So the certification is free and the fee is waived just up until November of 2024. So it's been about a year that we're having the fee waived. After that, the program will still be going on. It just will be a cost. I do apologize. I don't have that exact cost yet. It is still being determined, but it's similar to if you're familiar with the LEED certification for buildings. We're kind of developing the program like that. So it's something that did not initially cost, will cost later on, but it's a huge benefit, and it's a huge benefit to the company that has these kind of certifications. So the EVAL certification will kind of function like that. And if you look at how kind of the roadmap that the LEED program followed, fourth is ideally hoping that the EVAL program will follow a similar certification where it can provide more resources to the people involved in the program, especially early adopters.
Great. So I guess the advice is get certified early while it's free.
Yes,
Okay.
especially if you have multiple sites.
Yes, that's a good point. Okay. And let's see, what is the time commitment? We have someone asking like, what if I talk to leadership and they say, well, how much time is this going to take to become certified? Do you have kind of an estimate on a time commitment?
The certification process itself is very quick. Like we can get you certified within weeks. It might, and as we go along, it depends on the complexity of kind of your application. It might be even sooner than that. You know, it's not a long process in terms of the application process. Now, implementation is a different thing, and I want to make sure that I just kind of go there. You know, it's an undertaking, right? Like this is not going to take you 10 years, but sometimes these projects do take a while. So to get in early while resources are abundant is key. To get in while there's resources being put out there, different companies working on this dedicated every day, I think is really key. So the entire application process, very quick. Implementation can take a while. So it's best to get in early.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have answered all the questions. And this has been really an excellent session. We do have a very short evaluation that we would ask everyone attending to take. You can give us some suggestions or you can ask questions, and we'd love to hear some feedback from you. We'll continue to have the other webinars in the other regions. And so please pass the word around, or you're welcome to sit in on another session if you would like to. So again, just to end, Brandon, I want to thank you very much. Great presentation. And we're just
Thank you.
all looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you from Best Workplaces for Commuters, and we look forward to working with you and Forth.
Thank you all for having me today. This has been an awesome opportunity, and I loved the questions. It's awesome to see such an engaging community here, and thank you so much to Best Workplaces for Commuters and Forth.
Thank you.